Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
To a Tuesday edition
because you're
Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
It's
from
not
the Crime Prevention Security System Studios,
You
large
can't
enough
hear
to serve you,
there and not into here.
small enough to care.
All right.
Hang on a second. I got to get them tuned out.
Hello, check.
Welcome to the program, folks. It's Tuesday. We got lots to talk about. We'll have Buddy Martin. He's got some technical difficulties.
I'm good. Hello.
You can hear us now.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, buddy. You're on the Titan Tomorrow hotline.
Good morning to you, Shane. How you doing this morning? You know what? My mind is all screwed up. You know why? Well, it's always screwed up, but playing a Sunday game just threw me off completely. I mean, on the show last night, I'm reading to you off a schedule that's a week ahead on football. I'm like, where's my brain? We're such creatures of routine. When something changes, it just kind of screws us up. It doesn't take much to me anyway. But yeah, good morning to you. It is Monday, right? Wait a minute. No,
it is Tuesday, buddy. It's Tuesday.
I'm only kidding. Of course. So let's start again. Good morning to you, Shane. Nice job you and Sean did on the play-by-play. I told you last night I enjoyed listening to the game and watching it on TV, trying to figure out how to get the game, which was always a problem for people. Even although I'm a member of ESPN Plus, I'm sitting there with all my radios and my TVs and my computer and trying to get. I got you on my phone. Finally, I get on and get the game up on the ESPN Plus, and I was able to sync it up. And I really enjoyed it once I could do that. But boy, it sure makes it tough just to find anything anymore in sports, just knowing where it is.
Yeah, it's yeah, I agree with that 100%. Trying to find stuff these days is difficult. Scott says on Facebook Live, QB, you're in St. Louis. I am. I don't know if you see my background, buddy.
I do.
Gateway Arch.
Yeah.
You know, we try to come to you from locations.
I'm telling you.
From places where we are getting ready to play our opponent. There ain't a whole lot in Columbia, Missouri. So this is probably the most famous thing in the state of Missouri, wouldn't you say?
Actually, I saw a thing last night. You're supposed to check off the things that you've done, and there's like 28 or 30 items. How many have you done? And one of them is the arch. So, yeah, it's an iconic thing. I mean, my gosh, who knew? You made a hamburger one day, and there you go. It's a phenomenal icon in our country. So what are you doing there so early, Shane?
Well, I got to bring the program to all our sports fans.
Okay, so you're traveling.
That's what we do here, buddy.
All right.
Buddy, I want to go back. Obviously, it was Eastern Washington. We outmanned them.
Mm-hmm.
Give them credit. They did some good things on offense. Just your overall take from the entire game. You know, not one side of the ball, but what did you think you saw from the Gators in the game against Eastern Washington?
Well, first of all, you and I totally disagree on these games. I know we talked about them as you think they're great. I don't think they're great. I don't think.
I don't think great is not the word I use.
Okay, well then, what word would you use?
They're necessary.
For who?
Well, okay. So for all our listeners that have not heard my thoughts on these type of games, I have two thoughts. I look at it from the Florida Gators standpoint, and I look at it from Eastern Washington. Okay, we'll start with Eastern Washington. We all know that schools like them struggle because football carries all the other sports. So they got a paycheck from the Gators. They got a paycheck from the Oregon Ducks that will carry them through the year. But what it does is it allows kids who had aspirations of playing major college Power 5 football in tremendous venues like the Swamp. It gives them an opportunity to play in that venue. Now, they didn't get to experience it all because of the circumstances with the hurricane and everything. But, you know, whether you go to Auburn or Tiger Stadium or wherever it is, it gives these kids an opportunity to fulfill a dream. Okay? On the Gator standpoint, or the Power 5 school that's going to win handily, you get a lot of players playing time, especially walk-ons, because walk-ons do the same exact thing on a daily basis as a starter, and they need to be rewarded in some capacity to be able to get some playing time. Now, I don't even know how many walk-ons got on the field. I don't know if any of them did, but at least you got your backups in. That normally doesn't happen. I mean, we normally play about 33 guys in a game. We played like 82 in this game. So that's I understand what you're going to say, buddy, but that's my feelings on those games.
Okay, and I get the charitable component of that, and I'm not against the kids. I'm all for them. Listen, I was a walk-on myself at a very low level of the Gator baseball player. I get it. But I'm going to say to you, this is going to sound cruel and harsh. I love the fact that these kids were so excited about playing. I read a couple quotes by the players from Eastern Washington, what a phenomenal thing it was to be in the swamp. I heard about it. That's great. I love that part of it. And even Billy Napier talks about how these kids all love football. Here's the thing. If it's charity, let's call it charity and do it a different way. In the NFL, they used to call them exhibition games, and what they were was basically paydays that they didn't have to share. And look, exhibition games are what they are. They don't play the starters that much. If that's what it is, let's call it that. And let's play one at the beginning of the year before the season starts and get it out of the way. You're charging good money to the season ticket holders, the same price you charge for LSU to go see Eastern Washington. So I'm saying it's another way, one of those things. Is there a way to keep the component you're talking about, which is the kids? Maybe you play them in the spring. I don't know. I'm just saying, let's be honest about it.
How many of those fans that are paying the money, and I get it, sit on your show and on my show and keep asking, when are we going to see this player? When are we going to see that player? Well, the only way you can see those damn players is when you're up a big where they can get in the game.
No, you could let them in practice, but they don't do. You see them there.
No. They want to see them.
But wait, you said,
they don't want to see
wait, you didn't say in the game. You said, when can I see the player? Now, and that's an issue. Like, we saw Kitna for the first time. Had no idea what the kid would do, what he looked like, whether he could play the position or he could throw the ball. You said last night on the show that you talked to his dad, or somebody talked to his dad, and said that he discouraged Jalen from playing the game because he couldn't throw the ball from here to there back when he was a kid. Told him to play golf. Look, I get all that, what you're saying, and it's kind of a philosophical disagreement between you and me. So I'll just say this. It was a game that Florida needed. Kudos to Scott Strickland and his staff and people for getting the game in, just getting the game in, and finding enough emergency responders to be able to come there and not take away from the terrible tragedy that was going on in our state with folks in Southwest Florida, especially where I used to live. So, yeah, so I get it. But what you asked me my takeaway is that I was glad to see some of the kids get on the field. I was really glad to see some guys show up. I didn't even know who Douglas was.
Can you repeat that?
What?
What you just said.
I was glad to see the kids play.
That's my point.
Because I don't get to see them in the media like you do. I don't get to go see them play in practice, whatever.
Yeah, but playing in practice, I could go watch them play in practice every day, and that does not mean a thing to me. I want to see the guys in a real uniform get an opportunity in front of people. That's what they dream about. That's what our good friend Brady Ackerman, he caught a wheel route in a blowout against Akron. That's a memory he shares with everybody. And it gets to be a longer and longer touchdown as the years go by. But like Caleb Douglas, I think he's going to be a phenomenal receiver for us. He may never play another down, but he caught a touchdown in the swamp. So anyway, that's what I was talking about.
Well, we just disagree. But the answer to your question was, what I took away is I see some improvement. And let's be honest, this is what this squad's about. And this is what Billy Napier has got to do. He's got to develop those players as best he can because his roster is shy, as you talk about every day, every week. They don't have enough players. They're scrambling. They got a W out of it. You saw a guy who could play quarterback. It isn't like he's, if he got in the game, he could play. I'm not saying he'd be able to play on a regular basis in the SEC, but we don't know where Jack Miller is. It's important to know who the backup is. And I got to see some players that I hadn't seen before, and I'm glad and happy for them that they got in. But the fact is, it's over now, and now you got Missouri, who was just sort of going to be an automatic W. Not the case now, as we see. Like Coach Spurrier used to say, they have scholarships too. And I'm telling you, the defensive line of Missouri really impressed me, and the way they went after Georgia impressed me. And I'm not a Eli Drinkwitz fan, but I must give him props for getting his team ready to play the number one team in the nation. And he'll have them ready to play at homecoming this Saturday.
Wes says on Facebook Live, those tickets to that game were much cheaper. Yeah, they were cheaper.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they're only like $30 or something like that, and I'm a season ticket holder. So Dan says on Facebook Live here, brought to you by Mental Law, Shane, are you concerned about Missouri now that they almost beat Georgia? I think you got to separate. I mean, they played extremely well against Georgia. I could see them coming here for a noon game and laying an egg. But, buddy, I want to go back to you. I'm going to ask you, in the last 10 years, do you know what the record is between the Gators and the Missouri Tigers?
5-5.
5-5. The reason I said that is because a lot of people think about Missouri the way that you, in your statement a few minutes ago, thought it would be an easy win. I can't remember how you phrased it, but people just kind of assume we're going to beat Missouri. They have been a thorn in our side since they came into the damn league. I don't know what it is about them. It's that I was there last year. That place is hard to play because it's not an SEC environment,
right?
And that's no excuse. But they've played us well for whatever reason, and I got a feeling they're going to be flat.
Do you?
When they come to the swamp.
And banged up a little bit. By the way, you don't play against a team like Georgia. Just a little historical note, if you don't mind. Missouri goes way back, way beyond that of being in trouble. When Florida played in the Sugar Bowl, when your coach was playing quarterback, and they would, and he went, and they got behind 20-0, the famous game where they kept going for two and missing, and they lost the game by 2018. They kicked all three that beat Missouri. I was there that day for that game, and that was one of them. But you know what? The only player to ever win the Sugar Bowl, the MVP on a losing team, was Steve Spurrier.
Or got it done, huh?
Steve Orr Spurrier was the man.
Text on the Titan our text line from Chris. He says, Shane, after seeing Kitten perform, do you think you'll give Jack Miller a run for his money for the number 2 spot? I don't know. I mean,
don't know.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Backups don't get a whole lot of work. So when Jack is back healthy, I don't know. We'll see. I think Gator Nation should be very pleased because I thought Jalen Kidno was outstanding.
I did too. I mean,
outstanding. Mm-hmm. And I know it was Eastern Washington, but what he did, he was extremely comfortable in the pocket. Mm-hmm. He knew exactly where to go with the football, and he threw on time. He anticipated, and he was extremely accurate. So, like I said on your show last night, it's a shame we didn't play Eastern Washington game 1.
Yeah.
That way.
Reps.
Well, he could have gotten in the game, and if Anthony had struggled like he did against USF and Kentucky, they would have felt okay putting Kitten in the game because they had seen what he had done under the lights. So that's kind of where this Eastern Washington game kind of screwed us a little bit. But it is what it is, and we're moving forward. Nothing but SEC play from here on out until the semis. So,
let me ask you.
It's homecoming, so it should be a good time.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I wanted to say, because my mind this morning is sort of addled. How impressive was this? You told me as a quarterback. Blaine Napier said that that Kidna has been playing really well the last 2 weeks. The Thursday practices. He said 2 weeks ago he completed every ball he threw in practice, and he said he'd never seen that before. Have you?
No. Think about what he just said. That means because these guys, they film stretch, they film individuals, they film 707, they film everything you do at practice, and they have people charting all that. He completed every pass, buddy. That means he threw an accurate, catchable ball as well because nobody dropped it. Think about that.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not that he made a good throw and the ball was dropped. He completed every pass. So it's obviously good news there. And, we'll see. So We got another text here on the Titan Mar text line from Matt and Mariana. He says, since Missouri came to the SEC, they've actually been a rival as opposed to Tennessee.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I mean, hell, they've beaten us way more than the Vols.
But the rival is somebody you fill the stadium for, and you go crazy and you get angry and whatever. That's not Missouri. Tennessee and Missouri are that millions of miles apart. But I get what he's saying. They've been competitive. They've been Vanderbilt on steroids. They've played. I mean that in a good way. They've been competitive. 5-5. It says it for itself. So, yeah, when you play Tennessee and you lose, you win 16 out of 17. The Tennessee is not a rival. So now that changes. So I get what he's saying. But Missouri is not a game that I got circled on my calendar. You haven't either.
Joseph says on Facebook Live. Oh crap! Not Joseph. Andy. Kitten is more of a pro style QB though, right? Is he a threat to run? I mean, I'm sure they'll call some runs, but no, he's a thrower. He's a thrower and did a really good job. Let's switch over to the defense, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, people keep asking me, can the defense improve? It was good. We played a lot of young players over there the other day when the game got out of hand, but I think we are what we are on defense. And we're going to have to play that bend but don't break and hopefully just outscore people.
But Bernie played pretty well now. I will say that. He played pretty well. I can't, we know what the problems are on defense, all right? I'm a little disappointed in the secondary. I don't think they got the play out of their back end like they should. Their safety play has not been good at all. We talk about the front seven, and maybe that's the reason, is that they're just not playing well in the secondary. They got.
Well, I see. I think our corners are good. Now, our safety's a struggle, but you cannot play corner if you have – I mean, when quarterbacks have all – we can't pressure the quarterback at all. We get no pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah. Is it because is it the package, lack of personnel? Why can't he get –
It's the front – dude, it's the talent. I don't know how else to say it. I know Brent Cox is probably going to be drafted because of potential. Dexter may be drafted because of potential. But if you're going to be – a 5-star, you got to make plays. And I just don't see them making enough plays. In my opinion, there's only one quality college football player on that side of the ball right now, and it's
Ventrell Miller.
Yeah. Yes.
Props to
everybody else are just guys.
Yeah. Well, like you said last night, they're going to win some shootouts.
Yeah, but we got a lot of help coming in, especially on the front four from the youngins next year in the recruiting class. I will be shocked if they don't go sign a bunch of more qualified, experienced D linemen and linebackers in the transfer.
Yeah, they got to get. They get real active in that. We talked about last night with Franz on the show, and Franz says he thinks Billy didn't want to disrupt the roster. A lot of kids didn't want to. A lot of coaches come in there and clean house and take scholarships away. I've seen that. I've seen that movie a number of times. I saw one many years ago at Florida State with Larry Jones. Absolutely ran off about 25 players, ran them off, made excuses that weren't true. We called him red-handed at our newspaper, the St. Pete Times. I was saying, he didn't have the grades. None of that was true. He just got rid of people. I don't like to see that kind of change. I do think maybe there are 3 or 4 more players out there if they could identify and got them in time would have helped his team. And the ones they got sure have helped.
Yes, Andy says, this is a good question here, or comment brought to you by Mellon Law. Are we able to do more stunning on the defensive line? We get no pressure on the quarterback.
I don't know.
Those are things that they can do. The reason I don't think we do a lot of twists and stunts and things because you got to be really sound when you do that because you're taking guys out of their gaps and hoping the other guy gets to that gap.
Right.
And right now, even when we just line up in front four, sometimes we're not gap sound, just doing the basics for whatever reason. But I would next year. I would think they would do that a little bit more.
Pretty vanilla. I'll say they are pretty vanilla on defense too.
Yes. This is another text on the Titan and More text line. We are 3-2. If we are a 7-win team, where do the other 4 wins come from? Well, I was talking with Steve Russell on his show yesterday about this. I mean, the Gators could easily win 8 or 9 when you think about it, because I think a lot of people, when the season started, you penciled in A&M as a loss.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a loss now. I mean, they got some serious issues.
Wow.
The only game on the schedule that I think, and I know this sounds terrible, but Georgia's better than we are. Okay, doesn't
Yeah.
mean we can't win the game
Yeah.
because crazy things happen in that rivalry.
Yeah.
But pencil them in as a loss. But between LSU, they're undefeated in the league right now. They got Tennessee this week,
But they're not that good.
Well, you don't think they're that good. I mean, we're not good either. That's what I'm saying. There's 2 or 3 really good teams in the conference. Everybody else is the same. Will the ball bounce your way on that given Saturday?
I agree.
And get some breaks. And so you could win them all, except maybe Georgia. I don't know. So I think we do get to 7. Anonymous texter. We will beat. Well, I would hope we beat South Carolina. They're a bad football team, but they handed it to us last year.
FSU is now a little bit of in doubt.
I didn't think FSU was very good when they were undefeated.
Well, you were right, turns out, but they were ranked, and they were undefeated 4-0, so nothing to play about it. And it goes back to this. Look, some basketball coaches, Calipari's one, believe in playing good opponents, right? In December, Florida's schedule still ranked the toughest in the country. Came out of that 2-2, and they won a game at 3-2. They're through the gauntlet now. They've got a couple of games, obviously, going to be tough. I don't think LSU is going to be a cakewalk, but having them in the swamp on Saturday night is an advantage for them. I wouldn't automatically say that anybody else is a W, but you're right. We only got 7 games left. I think they can easily win 4 of those and maybe 5. We said before the season started, if they get 8 wins, they had a great year. Well, here you go. You're looking at 5 more wins. I say 8 wins. That means they had a great year, which is what you said. If they win 8 games, they had a great year. But now we get a little greedy. We get a little greedy and say, well, wait a minute now. We saw what Missouri did to Georgia. The team is what it is. We know what it is now. It's been identified at what it is now. We know the defensive problems. They got to not make mistakes. They got to get turnovers. And as you say, get a little bit lucky. And they got a shot. They can win 5, win maybe 6. Who knows? But it's on the table now. Let's see what they're going to do.
Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Darlene Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker M. Parish, provide you fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan Hotline. Yeah, so I got a bunch of text here referring to the schedules and LSU and all that kind of stuff. What does this one say? This one's funny. He says, since we suck on defense, they should spend most of their time teaching the kids how to punch the ball out. Against good teams, our only chance to stop them is a turnover. Not a bad idea. I mean, they do that now. They do all that. Yeah, they do that for sure. Back to where we got Missouri this week. Buddy, you've been covering teams like this a long time, or covering football a long time.
Yeah.
The reason I think Missouri's going to come in here and be really flat, they lost a heartbreaker 2 weeks ago at Auburn. They're All-American. I think he's
field goal.
Their kicker missed a chip shot, and he makes 5 field goals over 40 yards against Georgia. But they put so much into that with the number 1 team in America in their ballpark. Don't you just see it being a noon game, and they haven't won in the conference? I just have a feeling they're going to – I hope we're not flat, but I just got a feeling Missouri's not going to play real hard.
Well, I would think that it's a game that you're like you said, they got the wind out of their sails, and you get your heart taken away like that. You lose a game by a chip shot field goal, and then you play the number 1 team you dominate them for 3.5 quarters, and you can't finish the job. You can't help but think, boy, oh boy, what I got to do to win a game. I think they'll come here and be feisty and try. Drinkwitz will come at you. I think Florida prevails in that game at the end, especially if they need to improve their special teams, Shane. Stop and turn the ball out of the end zone. They got to make more plays. They got to take the ball away more, got to make picks, take fumbles, etc., and then not make mistakes on their end of the deal. Yes, if this Florida team has grown up, if they're as good as we think they might be, and I like seeing guys like Kidd to show up because it tells me that Billy Napier knows what he's doing in practice. He's developing players. You can just develop players so long, but there are a couple of guys showing up like McClellan. Where'd he come from? There's players showing up now. I think this is a game that sits there for Florida to get their 4th win of the season, an SEC victory, which they badly need. I can't believe Florida's not won a game and LSU won every game. I think it sets up nice. But we'll see what this team is about. We think we know what they are. They can't make mistakes like they made on defense. We know what's there. So, yes, I do think they will and should, but I thought they dominated South Florida too. So what did I know?
Yeah, we'll see how it all pans out. We got a text here from Tom on the Titan Mar text line. He says, "Buddy, are you still a Heisman Trophy voter? And if you are or were, who would be your top 3 guys right now?"
Yes, I am. And I'll tell you a name I'm going to put up there nobody else is going to have Brock Bauer. I think
that's not true because Dorian called him the best player in college football. So
okay, well, all right. Well, I know what Dorian said. I'm just okay. Well, being Dorian, a thing I like. I think he's an amazing player. He brings so much to that team. He blocks. He catches. He's a ferocious competitor. And then we'll see how things go with the injuries. It's way too early for me right now to start thinking about Heisman Trophy winners. I can't get my mind around it.
We've played 5 games.
Yeah, but I don't start thinking about that until really November almost. I mean, yeah, I could throw some names out there. Guys that would say what you do is you go to a team and you say, who's really playing great? Well, unfortunately, Alabama's defense is not playing well right now. So all of a sudden, you got the Anderson is not the household name that we would think he would be. In terms of other players, I just haven't seen enough to say I can put these 5 I can make a list up, but I don't really think of anybody right now but who I think ought to be in New York. And we don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback situation in Alabama. So, yeah, I'm sorry I can't give you that list. I'll give you Brock Bauer, and I'll think about it, all right?
So if I was voting, I would have 2 guys through 5 games, only 2 guys that I would invite to the ceremony.
Okay, who is that?
I would put Brock Bowers in there because he's done some amazing things, but he wouldn't be my winner. Hendon Hooker would be my winner right now.
Well, yeah, but I don't think he's going to hold up.
That's what I'm saying. I said through 5 games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. You're right.
What if Hendon Hooker goes into Tiger Stadium at 11 o'clock Saturday and just lights up tennis?
Then he's on my list. Then he's on my list. I haven't seen enough of Hendon Hooker to say he's a candidate. Everybody likes to jump on things early and, whatever. I really love the way he's playing. And by the way, he's a pretty darn good runner, too. Lest we forget. And so I think he definitely will be on the long list right now. But let's see. I just don't believe in Tennessee. I told you I didn't believe in Kentucky either. I don't believe in those teams just now in terms of it's all Georgia and all Alabama. By the way,
I don't believe in any other teams in that Southeastern Conference other than Georgia and Alabama.
I'm with you on that.
Kentucky was number 7 in America last year. Ole Miss is now in the top 10. They are not top 10 football teams. They are this year because there's way too much parity of just blah type teams. But
how about Lane Kiffin for Coach of the Year, man? The way his team is playing, and their defense is playing.
Well, here's a prime example. You hear all these coaches that you've interviewed all the year, buddy. They say that there's 3 or 4, 5 plays in a game that determine the outcome.
Right.
Think about Kentucky when they went and watched that tape, just kicking themselves. The last 4 possessions were inside Ole Miss's 25-yard line.
Wow.
Did not get a point. Had missed 2 extra points, missed a field goal, and returned a kickoff that the guy's still running if he doesn't trip over his own player. And they lose the game by, 3 points or whatever it was.
Hey, Shane, this just in. It's hard to win in the SEC, okay?
No, I know that. But I'm saying
you're right. Yeah,
Ole Miss is very lucky to win that game. And that's what I'm saying. The ball, because there's so many teams that are all the same. I don't think Ole Miss is any better than Florida.
Yeah,
but they're undefeated because the balls bounce their way. So, but there's clearly two best teams are Georgia.
No doubt about it. But there's a group of 5 or so right in there that could jump up and bite you. There are teams that you think you can't there are teams that can beat you who are not on the radar right now, which is what Florida's going to look out for. We saw that almost happen last week with Georgia, Missouri. There are teams that aren't very good that can still beat you on Saturday in the SEC. And this is what I always say, Shane, it's not just playing in the SEC. It's playing in the SEC every week. It's the residual of playing against teams. You follow fighting, boxing, right? You know what boxing is. You know what when a guy gets pounded, although he may still be standing, after 3 or 4 rounds, it begins to have an impact on you. I've always said the SEC is like fighting the heavyweight champion every week. You got to get up for Georgia. You got to get up for these teams, LSU, etc. And it takes a toll on you That's why November is everything in the SEC. Can your body hold up to an SEC beating? And that's what it's going to be about for these also ran teams. But there are dangerous teams that can beat you. And I hate to use the cliche, any given Saturday, in this case, any given Sunday last week. It can happen. So it's a lot on the table. It's way too early, but I like what I'm seeing in Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin would be right there among the coach of the year. And by the way, how'd you like to be Jimbo Fisher today?
Yeah. Speaking of that, Joseph says on Facebook Live, Durkin has that Ole Miss defense playing pretty good sound. He's DJ Durkin's now the defense coordinator at A&M.
Yeah.
Charlie Patrick.
Right.
Partridge is the defensive coordinator at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Charlie asked me who are my 4 playoff teams as of today. I would say Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson. Clemson not going to lose now that they beat NC State.
I like those 4. You're right. I mean,
it's the same cast of characters.
Same
right?
ones.
This is from Donnie. He asked on the Titan of our text line, will Georgia or Alabama find a way to go undefeated? I don't think either one will accomplish that. I think they will. However, Georgia has a more difficult schedule, in my opinion. I think in 4 straight weeks, they play Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. So that's a 4-game gauntlet right there.
Is that game in Starkville or is it in Athens?
I believe it's in Starkville.
Interesting. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah, so that I still think Georgia finds a way. I just think they're really good on defense.
They are.
And they're better on offense. They sputtered the other day, and like I said, Stetson had the ball slip out of his hands twice that gave points to Missouri. But
Shane, here's the thing: a takeaway on that game. When you really need it, when you just get to the fourth quarter, you're not playing well. You got to keep the ball and you got to run the ball and dominate. Georgia did. Stetson Bennett was brilliant in that drive. And when you got a team, you got talent. Although the running back is not that great. The fact is, they took it right down the field and punched it in and right down the throat of Missouri. That's a quality football team. But you win that way, and I was impressed that Georgia did that. But I would expect Georgia to do that.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're winding down. Your Rays made the playoffs.
I know,
but I want to get your thoughts. Obviously, I know the Maris family. They live here in Gainesville.
Right.
Judge is tired. Roger Maris is 61 home runs. I don't know if he's going to break it. I think he's only got a few games left. But Roger came out and made a statement how he thought that his dad and Judge should be the home run kings right now because of what all happened with Barry Bonds and them. What are your thoughts on that?
I kind of agree with that. I didn't get along with the Maris family as well as you did back in the day when I was working in New York the first time because Roger was under a lot of stress in that game. People don't realize, you look at Aaron Judge, you think it looks cool and calm. It was so bad for Roger that he lost chunks of his hair. I mean, he was really going up against it. And nobody wanted to break the Babe's record, whatever. And it was a tough year. Here's an amazing stat on that. Shane, 61 years ago, in 1961, 61 home runs were hit. That's an amazing number right there. I like Aaron Judge. I like the way he handles himself. I think I understand what Roger's son is talking about, and I can't disagree. But you can't deny the fact Barry Bonds, steroids or not, how many he hit? I mean, he blew the record away.
73, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't ignore it. Now, I wish it never would have happened because Bonds had the talent to do it without taking what shall we say, enhancing drugs. And it was unfortunately the record was sullied. But I'm happy. It doesn't mean the same thing it did back in 61. I saw that home run hit. I was in a bar in Jacksonville and Roger Maris, and forevermore, that'll still be the moment. But I'm rooting for Aaron Judge. I like the way he plays the game. And I get what Roger's son's saying, and I agree philosophically, but the numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. And if you're going to start using asterisk in the Hall of Fame or whatever, then you have to put one next to Bonds' name. So, yeah, I think it's good that he broke it. Now let's see. I'd like to see him get 62.
Yeah, we got to let me get these texts real quick before we get you out of here. Where'd they go? Here it is. This is from Frank. He says, why does the Maris family live in Gainesville? I did not know that.
Bush franchise.
You probably know the story, and I may butcher it here.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, when Roger Maris was traded or went to the St. Louis Cardinals, part of his deal, I don't know if when he retired, didn't they give him a Budweiser?
Well, that
distributor?
was the agreement, as I understand. Yeah, he was going to
Yeah,
get.
so
That's how he
it
got
was
here.
it was here in Gainesville,
Right.
correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
So they lived here, and then all the kids have lived here since then.
Yeah.
That's 5 kids. So
That's the story I know. I remember was they that was part of the deal. Is that they gave them the Budweiser. Who knew it'd be so valuable, right? If they only knew about all those beer drinking Gators, they would have never done it. It's a gold mine.
no doubt about it. All right, buddy, who you got on your program tonight?
Tonight we'll go David Whitley, and we've got Lauren Meadows. He will have his first trivia question from Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill tonight. He'll have a series of questions, and he'll use using the objects and the Gridiron Grill. By the way, if you haven't been there before, I mean, Shane, you're there all the time. It's an impressive museum. Never mind the food, which is really good. But what the artifacts in there, Shane, what's it feel like to you to walk in there and see all the things that you help accomplish, the trophies and the rings and whatever? It's an amazing place. That's why it's located right there. I think it's terrific for that aspect and really good for food. So, yeah, tonight I have Lauren Meadows on, the coach, we call him, and we'll have our Gator Bake gang on tonight discussing what's coming up for homecoming.
So I meant to bring this up, and you reminded me when you said trivia question. So I'm going to give you a trivia question because I'm going to give credit to Zach Alberti on this because he called me yesterday.
I'm no good at this, but I'll try.
Well, it's going to be pretty obvious.
Well, I mean, wait a minute now.
Gators scored Saturday on the first play from on offense.
Yeah.
First play of the game, right?
Yeah.
When was the last time the Gators scored on the first play of offense?
It wasn't Oklahoma State when you played. It wasn't the 69 team, but that was the third play. The first play was it the national championship team?
No. It would have been 1992.
Okay.
The host of this program, threw a 38 cutback handback pass to Jack Jackson against Southern Mississippi.
Well, there you go. You're a walking trivia question.
But no, it even goes farther than that.
Yeah.
Because Zach's doing a story on this. So that's the first time that the Gators have scored on the first offensive play since Sunday.
Okay.
Then you go back to 1991. We scored on the first offensive play on a corner route to Harrison Houston. I threw it to Harrison Houston, first play of the game. And that was the first touchdown scored in the new north end zone.
Now, what was this play when you had Harrison Houston?
That's Mills.
There you go, Mills play.
That's
right?
Mills.
Yeah,
that's named after Harvey Mills.
I know, I knew that. Hey, I got one for you now. You ready? For $1 million. You ready?
Okay.
Gators scored 5 touchdowns in the first half. What were the numbers of the players who scored those 5 touchdowns?
4, 2, 12.
No, here they are. Now I didn't check this out last night, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's amazing. That I didn't look it up, but that's what I was told. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on 5 touchdowns.
That's interesting.
Somebody there's Dan. Haven't checked that out. That's what I read. So
Andy says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe if Andy knows, if Andy and Dan,
Andy and Dan know we're good, right? Exactly. Check.
I thought Caleb Douglas. He must have called his in the
second half. No, boy, that was a nice route and a nice catch and a nice throw. I know. Where's that kid been, Shane?
He's young. He's a true freshman, buddy.
Man, tell you what, I got to get
more of him.
Yeah, I would
think so. Buddy. Who are the Rays playing in the first round? Do you know yet?
We don't know yet. We won't know until this is over. I'd like for them to play in not the top. I don't want them to have to go to Toronto and all that. I'd like for them to play they need to not win the next 3 games. So they go to there's that Toronto Yankees deal and Red Sox, Seattle, etc. So we don't know that yet. But I'm happy with them being the 2 seed, 3 seed. Let them play there. They got a couple of guys back now. I'm gonna tell you something. what they've done with that roster, I could give you all the numbers and stuff. The players they brought along, he's got players coming back now who've been hurt. This has been a phenomenal job of managing. Ken Cash ought to be the manager of the decade for what he's done there to have them at this point in time. They're losing games by one run. They need some more power. Wander Franco got going last night, and we got a little power going. And pitching is going to – I think the secret is they're going to have pitchers. And they got pitching in October. You're in good shape. I don't think they're going to win the American League, but the fact that they're in the wild card is an amazing story.
Yeah. All right, last question, because this is a baseball question, and this is from Michael on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon. It says, Shane, as far as home runs go, I've never understood why it's the number of home runs in a season, because in 61 they weren't playing as many games. It should be the average number of home runs per game for an at bat. It's just not fair. How many games were they playing back when Roger Maris did it?
Probably 155 or 158. Probably have to look it up. But, I mean, these makes a point there. There's no question. Well, not only that, look at the postseason. Look how long it is. It wasn't that way back then. So they did it in fewer games for sure. I have to look that up. I'm not good on numbers, but no. They weren't playing
like college football back in my days.
Exactly.
You didn't count. You didn't play as many games. You didn't count.
What you play? Do you play 11? Did you play 11 games, Shane? Is that what you played? 11 games?
Yeah, a couple of times, and then statistically, nothing in the bowl games counted back in those days.
Which
now
is wrong.
Counts.
Yeah, no, it's different. Hard to keep.
All right, buddy. Have a good
Shane.
program.
Thank you,
man.
We'll
talk to you next week, my man.
All right, Shane. Thank you.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a timeout. Come back and get to more of these texts and Facebook Lives. You're watching and listening to Pod Up Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like the Keys Bar and Grill, Medici's Regal Cinemas Dave & Buster's, Nike Le Macaron, the Gadget Guys in the HBC's restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now selling Head Beer Coach American Lager in 16-ounce cans. That's available at Spurrier's, Visor Rooftop, and Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank Buddy Martin for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Got a text on the Titan MR text line. It's from Alan in Atlanta. QB, I hope you're correct about Missouri, but I fully expect them to show up and play well. Very good defense. We better be ready to play. Nothing to take for granted. I agree with that. I just got a feeling that, they're kind of down and out because they had the number one team on the ropes and, playing an early game in the swamp. But we'll see. It's still an SEC battle, so it won't be easy. I can promise you that. If you missed it last night, the 49ers defeat the Rams. Physical game. Well, I tell you what, Kyle Shanahan, the more I watch the 49ers, his scheming and his designs of plays is just phenomenal. I think the two best play callers and schemers in the National Football League right now are Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid. Just very, very creative. I love seeing what they implement each week that's different. Titan MR text line. Frank says, Shane, what train did you have to prepare you to host a podcast? I enjoy your show and keep up with the good work. What training, I guess he said. I did no training. Story is I had done some pregame and postgame radio work with Steve Russell for a while. Brady Ackerman and I had a show before he got back into coaching. But I was always the so-called analyst. I didn't host anything. And then Freddie Weeby came to me, who handles a bunch of marketing stuff, asked me, said I needed to do my own podcast. I thought he was crazy as hell because I'm not much of a talker and never had any experience or training in this. So we started from scratch about 2.5 years ago, and here we are today. It's grown mainly because of our listeners and our audience. And that's the only way shows last, having people participate. And we appreciate you listening, Frank, and everyone else out there as well. Jeff says the 49ers are excellent on defense, too. Yeah, it's a good football team. I hate seeing people get hurt, but it's a blessing if you're a 49ers fan and that Trey Lance is out for the year, because Jimmy's not going to win you a bunch of games, but he's not going to lose you a lot either. He's an accurate thrower, understands their system, and I think he's a perfect fit for what the 49ers want to do. Rams, both those teams sit at 2-2 right now. Very good football teams. I think both of them make the playoffs. Dan asked my thoughts on Tua and how they handled his concussions. I'm glad you brought that up, Dan. So I know they fired some guy, some doctor or whatever. All I know is this is how it works. You take every player, starting at the high school level, in college, and in the pros, you take a baseline concussion test on the computer. All the data is saved. And then that's how that's one of the ways they evaluate you when you are concussion for protocol. So Tua obviously passed that test. I'm assuming he passed the test online. And it was a short week, so he didn't really have practices. They had a bunch of walkthroughs. So nonsense that they were using when he was staggering against the Buffalo Bills was just dumb. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I just know that he did probably play too soon, but I feel like he passed all the tests that the doctors gave him, because I don't think any doctor's dumb enough to allow him out there. So I don't know. We'll see. He's not playing this week. We do know that. Rick says, referring to my comments about the audience, it's true, Shane. When are we getting our NIL? I'm waiting on my NIL, Rick. As soon as I get my NIL deals, I will share with y'all. So those are my thoughts on, because I told my concussion story the other day. This was back in the day. I got knocked out, went to the sideline, was carried to the sideline. Doctor gave me 5 CDs, came back 10 minutes later, and he said, give me those CDs in reverse order. I knocked it out. They put me back in the game. So anyway, Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon. Shane, off topic, but other than your dad and the HBC, what other coaches helped develop your coaching style? Good luck in Orlando. Thanks, Andy. I don't know. I mean, I learned a little bit in all my stops in the NFL, just the way coaches do things. But as I've said, everybody has the same plays. It all comes down to when to call those plays and how you coach people to understand what you're trying to do on those plays. And when I coached at the high school level, I used Coach Spurrier's philosophy. It's a complicated, somewhat complicated, but it's so simple. And the way he taught it, um, people picked up on it very quickly and understood what to do. And that's what I'm going to do with my quarterbacks. And I've learned a lot watching the Kyle Shanahan's, the Andy Reid's from a creativity standpoint. Andy, I just love what those guys do on offense. They ran a toss sweep wham play last night that I've never seen that Kyle Shanahan put in. I sent it to my buddy, offensive lineman who played in the league for 13 years. He had never seen a blocking scheme like that, and it went for a touchdown, untouched, which you never see running plays in the NFL go untouched. Gene says, I thought it started with JC and the QB. Gene, you're right. It did start with JC and the QB, and I guess JC was the host. I don't know. Maybe JC was the host, and I was the analyst and kind of took it over from there. Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending, right? Helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Let's take another quick timeout, come back, get this day in sports, and get out of here. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com, 352-240-1779. This day in sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Give Comfort Temp a call at 352-376-2366. This day in sports, in 2003, Texas Tech Red Raiders quarterback B.J. Simmons sets a Big 12 conference record with 8 touchdown passes, leading Texas Tech to a 59-28 win over the Texas A&M Aggies. That's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Greg asked, Shane, how did you meet JC? JC was the TV 20 sports anchor when I was playing here. And then he left that business, got in. He's been a financial planner for about 28 years, 30 years, and loves sports and just enjoys talking sports. So we make him part of our program to ruffle feathers with everybody pretty much. Rick asked, Shane, have you been up in the arch? I have been in that arch back when I was a youngster. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's program. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll have JC. We'll do some Peachland Dental picks. And again, our good friend Joe Lawson at Peachland Dental that runs that dental practice down there in Port Charlotte wanted us to remind our listeners, if you can make a donation to the American Red Cross, please do. He said it's just devastation down there. So our thoughts and prayers continue with the folks in Southwest Florida. But tomorrow's program, we'll have JC and we will have Mike Morgan from ESPN going around the landscape of college football. Hope you enjoyed today's program, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.